Dr. Stephen Beaupre is a man with a mission on this particular afternoon to find one of his study subjects. And with the help of advanced radio tracking gear, he finally closes in on it. And here it is, a beautiful specimen of a timber rattlesnake. But this is no ordinary rattler. That's because Dr. Beaupre surgically implanted a miniature radio transmitter in it.
Get away.
Here's what the tiny transmitters look like. By following the beeps, the transmitters in them broadcast, Dr. Beaupre can find his study snakes, even in the thickest brush. This helps him to round up the rattlers periodically and take them back for short stays in his laboratory. There, Dr. Beaupre and his assistants are discovering much about the snake's body functions and how they respond to the environmental changes global warming may produce. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Jerome. It's always interesting to visit scientists like Dr. Beaupre. Scientists like him teach us a great deal about the world in which we live. As you may have noticed, where Dr. Beaupre collects his snakes is dry woodland, very different from the water-rich environments most amphibians prefer. And that difference is very important, because dry ground, such as this rattler habitat, is at the heart of the reptile story. And that's because reptiles, such as the ancestors of this little chameleon, were the first vertebrates to successfully live on land. Descended from amphibians, it was ancient reptiles that first took the huge step of living full-time on dry land. This move has opened up a whole new part of the planet for vertebrates to make their home. Moving forward to modern times, this monster alligator snapper is typical of the more than 6,500 different kinds of reptiles sharing the planet with us today. Scientists have divided all these many critters into three major groups. The first and largest contains snakes and lizards. This stately specimen is an iguana from Central America. Like all other reptiles, both snakes and lizards are cold-blooded. That's to say, their body temperature stays close to that of their surroundings. And with the exception of a few species, such as this water snake, most of the world's many snakes and lizards live on dry land. Turtles are the next big reptile group. They, as our little friend here demonstrates, are the only reptiles with a shell. There are many kinds of turtles. Some, such as this giant tortoise, live on land, while others are at home in fresh water. In addition, some turtles, such as the one these scientists are studying, spend most of their lives in the ocean. Alligators, crocodiles, and their kin make up the last major reptile group. Powerful predators, these mighty reptiles spend much of their time in the water, or sunning themselves on the shore nearby. Now that we've met some reptiles, let's explore what made them so successful. We'll begin with the matter of where they live. Here, we're looking at a desert in the American Southwest. This countryside is mighty hot and mighty dry. Definitely not the kind of lush, moisture-rich environment most amphibians need. In contrast, however, many reptiles, such as these Gila monsters, find even the driest deserts a great place to call home. And just why is that so? Why, unlike amphibians, do so many reptiles flourish far away from water? Well, simply put, the answer is reptiles don't dry out. And here's one of the key adaptations that keeps that from happening: a tough, scaly, waterproof skin. Such skin helps to keep reptile bodies from drying out when they are on land. This lizard shows something else that's mighty helpful to critters living on land: strong, sturdy legs and feet. These adaptations help them dig, climb, and move around quickly and easily. With the exception of snakes and rare legless lizards, all reptiles have such sturdy legs and feet. And here's a third vital adaptation for living on land: waterproof or amniot eggs. Reptiles lay eggs that are covered with a leathery, waterproof shell that keeps them from drying out on land. Well, that winds up our tour of the reptiles, the first group of animals to colonize dry land. Now let's take a few minutes to answer some simple questions. They'll help refresh your memory about some of the interesting animals we've just met. The directions are simple. Either check true or false, or complete the sentence with the correct word after you hear this tone. Good luck, and let's get started. Number 1, true or false? Most reptiles lay their eggs in water. Number 2, true or false? Reptiles are cold-blooded. Now let's do things a little differently. Instead of checking true or false, complete the following sentences with the correct word after you hear this tone. Number 3. Turtles are the only reptiles that have Number 4. The first vertebrates to live full-time on dry land were the Number 5. The first vertebrates to produce waterproof eggs were the Believe it or not, these strange-looking animals are birds. They're called emus. They're natives of Australia, stand nearly 6 feet tall, and can weigh as much as a human. During the next few minutes, we're going to explore many different kinds of birds and see what makes birds, including these, birds. On the water, in trees, on the ground, in the air, it doesn't matter where you look, they're all birds. Birds are so common, in fact, that it's easy to take them for granted, to ignore them. The truth is, however, that there's lots to learn about birds, and many different kinds to explore. So many, in fact, that scientists have counted almost 9,000 different bird species. As many different kinds of birds as there are, however, they can all be divided into just 4 major groups. Flightless birds, such as these emus and ostriches, make up the first bird group. Though they have wings, these birds can't fly, and in some places they are being raised for their meat. Water birds make up the second major bird group. Birds such as swans and this flamingo and these geese live in and around the water most of their lives. Water birds have bodies that are well suited for swimming and standing in water, and many, such as herons, are experts at catching fish and other aquatic life. Birds of prey, such as owls and hawks, make up the third bird group. Armed with sharp beaks, keen eyesight, and strong, razor-sharp talons or claws, birds of prey are meat-eaters that feed on small animals and other birds. And finally, here's a songbird, the last major and most familiar bird group. Found almost everywhere, songbirds are known for the unique songs they produce. Now that we've explored a wide variety of birds, let's consider a simple question. What makes a bird a bird? Well, one thing that separates birds from other animals like fish, amphibians, and reptiles is the fact that they're warm-blooded. That's to say, their metabolism produces the heat needed to maintain a nearly constant body temperature. And that's how birds are able to survive in cold weather. And here's an incubator full of the second characteristic common to all birds, eggs. All birds lay eggs, and this giant example was laid by one of the emu we met a little while ago. And here's a little fella that hatched from one of those huge eggs. It's an emu chick, and it's just starting to get its feathers. Feathers, are the third feature that all birds share. Feathers are what really set birds apart. While many other vertebrates are warm-blooded and lay eggs, only birds combine those characteristics plus feathers. So there we are, being warm-blooded, laying eggs, and having feathers. Those are the key features that answer the question, what makes a bird a bird? Birds and flying, the two go hand in hand. Flight is essential to the survival of most birds. And over time, birds have adapted ways that have made most of them great flyers. And here's one of the most important of those adaptations, feathers. Birds have two basic kinds of feathers. Called contour feathers, these are examples of the first kind. Contour feathers are the large, prominent feathers that give birds, such as this gorgeous macaw, unique body shape and often striking colors, and allow them to fly and maneuver in the air. And here's some of the second kind of feather. Called down, these fluffy little feathers insulate birds against the cold. The down feathers, close to its skin, are protecting this little chickadee against the winter chill. Like our own hair, both down and contour feathers are rooted in the skin. This is where they get their nutrients. But as important as they are, feathers are not the only adaptation that help birds fly. Here's another, a strong, lightweight skeleton. Such specialized skeletons provide good support, but add as little weight as possible to birds. Have you ever noticed how birds always seem to be eating? That's because flying requires lots of energy, and birds' specialized metabolisms help them to get it. For example, birds have highly efficient digestive systems. These convert the food they eat to the energy they need both quickly and efficiently. Birds also have the efficient respiratory and circulatory systems needed for rapid cellular respiration. Together, these and other metabolic adaptations help birds to get the huge amounts of energy flying demands. And finally, birds also have the well-developed sensory systems needed to fly successfully. Take, for example, this hawk Mike is holding. It was seriously injured and can never return to the wild. Like others of its kind, it has very well-developed eyes. These enable birds of prey to take off, land, and find food from great distances with eyesight many times more powerful than ours. Well, that ends our visit with the reptiles and birds, two of the major vertebrate groups with which we share the planet. Like all other living things, these fascinating animals play an important role in the living world of which we are all a part. Now let's take a few minutes to answer some simple questions. They'll help refresh your memory about some of the interesting animals we've just met. The directions are simple. Either check true or false, or complete the sentence with the correct word after you hear this tone. Good luck, and let's get started. Number 1. True or false? All birds can fly. Number 2. The large feathers that allow birds to fly are called feathers. Number 3. True or false? Down helps to insulate birds. Number 4. Birds have digestive systems that are very Number 5. Birds are warm-blooded, egg-laying vertebrates that have Well, that brings us to the end of this quiz and of our look at the fascinating world of reptiles and birds.